Are we really ready to take this to the wall? Are we really ready for what we are beginning to engage in? I say beginning because there has been fits and starts in this our resistance. Right from the beginning, there has been fits and starts, but it has never been sustained. And so the question today, the question on the table is, are we ready to take it to the wall? To the wall. I say that because it has been an eventful week in the struggle, in the resistance. There has been a lot of frustrated voices recording statements to the leaders, to the resistance movements. There has been a lot of cry for help. There has been a lot of anxiety expressed. There has been almost anger at the way that some people view this as being slow and taking its time. I know that on this program, on this set, there has been a lot of talk and evidence presented on how little time we as a people have because we are being eliminated. I am going to tell you that we are facing a machine that has been at a war in our land for the past 56 years. You know, the struggle for the liberation of the Amazonian people, the struggle for the dignity of the Amazonian woman, the struggle for the destiny of the Amazonian child brings a lot of people across generations together. That is not something that has not occurred in my life. I was talking the other day to one I hope that I can use the term friend of mine. Not really a friend, a mentor, a father of the struggle. That Dr. Tayoba Ngenge. I was talking to him, and it's just recently that he realized that he was a casualty of that war that had been going on in the southern Cameroons. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that is something that we had never realized that we were in. You see, Dr. Ngenge related to me the story of his youth. He told me how in the 60s they were in Kas Bambili and protested some of the perceived at that time influence that La République du Cameroon was inserting into the public life of the southern Cameroons. And Dr. Ngenge said that they went on strike, and afterwards, all of these student leaders who had got up and expressed, just an expression of indignation, were given scholarships to go abroad and study. You know what he told me? He said they came to America and went to various universities. The university that he was in fully paid what you call a Cadillac or maybe Mercedes scholarship. So he came there and he said that in the dorm, they were with very rich American kids in the dorm. But you know what? That they will get up sometimes and they see these kids, you know, putting their clothes in a little bucket and washing it with their hands and drying it, and they will just walk down to the basement into the washing machine, dump their clothes there, and it's washed and ironed for them. Fully paid folks. That they will sit and sometimes their pocket money, their pocket allowance would get finished, and they will write to the American embassy that they need, that they will write to the embassy that they need $50 for allowance, and bang, $250 lands in their pocket. At a time, folks, at a time when the minimum wage in America was about $1 something, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken that story that he said. So they were being folks, they were being feted. They were being educated and feted. But they were out of their land, these troublemakers. In the 60s. That is the treatment they gave to Southern Cameroonians who, for 1 second, forgot about the shining ball that was in front of their eyes. That they were independent, there was that, and look up. That, oh, no, on my street there I see an army man that is not my brother. Oh, no, that's a gendarme. What is he doing here in the Southern Cameroon? We did not know any gendarme. They were given Cadillac scholarships out of the territory because at that time we were still a skittish people. Their grasp of us was not that strong. The Ngomjuas, the PM Kalis were still lurking around the corner. They had not yet been neutralized. The 60s. So how have they been treating our recent brothers and sisters who try to protest the evil that has been our occupation? Do they give them scholarships? Now, after 1972, when the process of elimination kicked off, let me show you how they now treat our people. In one of my previous programs, I brought to you guys the story of Black Saturday. I think on this set we have talked about Father Fonte, that just recently, after they killed one of their own bishops, the bishops of Cameroon, you could look at their open letter. You could see Father Fonte there in black and white. The father that was assassinated for discovering that they were sterilizing girls, lying to parents and teachers and schools that they were vaccinating them. Harry was killed. How have they been treating in this generation the Dr. Ngenges of this generation? In 1997, a group of young men and women stood up to say that enough is enough. We are not cowards. We are going to face La République. If it's mano a mano, we are going to do it. More than 300 of them went to Kondengi. Let me just read you the horror of what went on there for some of them that died. There is Emmanuel Conce, a true hero of the people of the Southern Cameroons. He died under torture. Folks, do you know how he died? Just go out and look at this flower. We call it in our local dialect chuku flower. It's like you get a rose sticks with a stem with these sticks on it, with these thorns. We even see in the Bible, and you have watched enough of the demonstration, of the depiction of the crucifixion of Christ, how a crown of thorns was made and put on his head, and you have seen the blood coming down. Imagine that thorn, that stick of thorn. Imagine that. Imagine the horror that visited Emmanuel Conce on his cell when that thorn was taken and his penis was taken, and that thorn was forced down the urinary tract inside his penis. Can you visualize that type of a horror? He bled to death in his cell in Kondengi. There is Ngum Matthias, who lay unconscious for several hours after torture before dying on the floor of his cell. Ndifo Joseph was shot and left for dead, dying on his way as he tried to escape to exile. Ngwa Richard, after bleeding and vomiting blood, after severe torture, vomiting blood for 2 weeks, he died. Not in a hospital, not in a dispensary, even in the jail. He died in his cell. Ngwa Julius, as a result of torture, died of internal bleeding in the BMN torture chambers. Samuel Tita, tortured with a knife, cuts, bled to death in his cell. Folks, I can go on and on and on. Daniel Tita, Fai Lawrence, Patrick Yimbu, on and on and on. This is how they now treat the Dr. Ngenges of our land. This is how they now die. So I ask the question, are we ready to go to the war on this issue? Because when I hear a lot of this frustrated cry coming out, I sympathize. But we can never for 1 second in that frustration talk about capitulating to these people and being their slave. Capitulating on what? On these debts? On this type of future? Is this what we will be capitulating on to? This is the destiny of our kids? Folks, a war of elimination had been going on in our land from the day of independence. It is not today that war started. For 56 years, it has been an absolute war waged on our land. Fact is, just one party had been participant in that war. We are now coming to the plate. We are now bringing our own knife and our own guns to that gunfight. It is not going to be overnight, because we cannot fail this time. This is our last best opportunity and we cannot fail. The generation of the Dr. Ngenges failed by accepting scholarships that they did not even realize was a tranquilizer, that they were tranquilizing them as their land, they left a land, as that land was being taken out from their grasp. Our generation, reacting, our tons are being used and forced down our urinary tracts, and we are dying horrible deaths. We have spoken about the biological weapons, the sterilizations of our women, the 8 viruses that were spread in our land. These are acts of war and genocide that had been going on, and once we finally turn to confront them, we cannot fail, because that is going to be the end of us. And so I ask, that frustration, how do we channel that frustration? La République du Cameroon have shown us, just in these quotes and in their acts, that nothing is beyond the pale for them. They have shown us that they will do what they have to do to make sure that we remain slaves in our own land and be eliminated in the land of our birth as they take over the land. They have shown us that. If nothing had signaled to us that that is their intent, that they will not cross any lines, the fact that they took away the internet for months should have wiped off the eyes of the federalists and La République apologists in our land. That should have cleared their eyes. Because for La République du Cameroon to sit when certain sectors of our land start resisting them, for them to decide on a collective punishment of the people. Collective. CBDM, SDF, businessmen, businesswomen, kids, men, schools, whatever. It did not matter to them. Supporter or non-supporter, it did not matter so long as you belong in that confine of Ambazonia. No internet for you. None. If it was, as they say, a few individuals causing problems and trying to divide the country, will they have taken internet from everyone? They wouldn't have. We have been trying to live our life to the best of our ability that they allow us. Trying our little businesses to hustle, to fight, hustle, and get a little thing in our stomach. And they will cripple that type of subsistence economy of a region by crippling our internet. It did not matter to them. We did not matter. Nobody. So we should understand the depth to which these people will descend to keep us. That's why the UK, we will not have power. When the time comes that the resistance stiffens, they will take away our power. They will take away our water. They will try to take away every little thing that makes the life of a human being, not a Southern Cameroonian, makes the life of a human being worth living. And so the question from a Kondo Titi to womb and beyond, the question that should be being asked in our homes right now is, how are we going to survive? We should channel that frustration about how slow things are taking, how long things are taking, into a matter of preparation. Are we ready, as I ask, to go to the wall on this? Are we securing the water? Are we looking around the village, around the quarter, around the community now, and saying that this water is government water? If tomorrow La Republique decides to take it, how is this community going to survive? Where is our next stream? Those are the type of things people ready for resistance needs to be doing. How we channel that frustration. Does a colonial police, how does the colonial police walk through your village or through your quarter right now? Do they walk in pairs or do they walk alone? Do they have their uniform proudly with their Cameroon map on it? The colonial, are they walking like that just freely in your street, daytime and nighttime, in the quarter? Their resistance is a resistance that these people right now would be taking raincoats to put on their skin like a farmer, and holding their machete and their mukutabak and passing through the street when they are going to work, because they will know that to pass with a colonial uniform inside our quarters, they will not come out on the other side. Then the resistance has held. Then we have clearly defined who the enemy is on our streets. Because even today, do you allow one of your neighbors to be picked up by a couple of gendarmes? How is that possible? On this show, I just got a report before coming on air that a young man, a young activist, was picked up by gendarmes who called saying that, you know, they were interested in mobilizing the population for the ghost towns. And this activist came out and was picked up with his neighbors watching. Not by a ton of gendarmes, by 3 gendarmes. 3 gendarmes. Three gendarmes who get into a quarter in the southern Cameroons today and abduct a boy. How is that possible? Are we really ready to take this to the war? You don't need an AK-47. No, you don't need an AK-47 for 3 gendarmes to get into a quarter today in the southern Cameroons and kidnap one of our boys. Kidnap your neighbor. That should not be possible in our land today. You know what that boy is going to go through. You have seen me right here what goes on with them in jail, how they die. If I had heard that paramilitary troops had gotten into that quarter and gotten that boy, I would have said, okay, where is the AK-47? For 3 gendarmes to get into a quarter in the southern Cameroons and kidnap a boy, then we don't know who the enemy is. Those boys should be protected from the village. If the king of the fun of the village doesn't come out and take that boy and put it in his village and dare those gendarmes to come in, that fun has no right to be father of the village. They are not and should not be able to get into our quarters right now. That is a no-go zone for them. We need to turn that. You know, I was tickled, really tickled pink by the fact that at a checkpoint, I saw those videos and it buoyed me. It lifted my spirit up. When I saw a taxi driver, heard that a taxi driver's book was taken by the colonial police and colonial forces, and he left the book with them, went where he was going, reached Baghdad, and by the time he returned, our warriors on wheels, our bench skin boys, formed a war with him. And they just came and overwhelmed those fools. That is it, folks. That is the spirit. That is Ambazonia rising. They have taken away our livelihood. I saw another picture, another video. One that I saw over the internet, there was various arguments about. The video was seeing 2 of La Republique's colonial forces on the ground with the quarter up in arms because they had dared after they have crippled our economy, try to come, and boys who are hustling just to live hand to mouth to feed themselves and their family, they want to come and seize their goods because it is not from La République du Cameroon. And I saw them on the ground with their hands on their head holding a torn La République du Cameroon flag. as they were being worn and kicked. And the argument that I told you that was going on was it comes of people really asking the question that shouldn't people even be alive? Can you deprive a people of life and those people still look at you and protect your life? Because for all the chanting and show, they were protecting the lives of those two shumbus, those two hill goats, who thought that they could walk just wards at this moment of desperation in our people and further inflame their desperation by seizing the little thing that they survive on. Folks, the people who parade right now on our streets are not forces of law and order. These are illegal occupiers in our land. They don't have the legal right to arrest anybody. They don't have the legal right to impose any laws. They don't have the legal right to be respected as law and order. These are illegal occupiers, and that is how they should be treated. You do not allow them to go into the quarter and arrest anybody. They are illegal occupiers. You do not allow them to come into any business and you write a check or you remove money to pay taxes. They are illegal occupier, and they cannot use your hard-earned money. You cannot allow them to use your hard-earned money, not one kobo. Use it to occupy your land and impose your own elimination on you. They cannot kill you and ask you to pay their bill for killing you, or your kids, or your daughters. They cannot do that. You cannot allow that to go on. It has been going on for so long. And so that is our land. That is a frustration from the streets. A frustration that spills. A frustration that spills into those in the diaspora about how long they are taking to fund the resistance, about how long they are taking to come to the aid of their people, about how much they are sitting and enjoying their life while their land is being crushed. A challenge that is coming up and is also being used by La République du Cameroon to try to break the resistance of our people. About how those in the diasporas are making those at home in the southern Cameroons to be suffering and sending putting the future of their kids and the destiny of their kids in a holding pattern while they themselves send their kids to school and go to work. A malicious argument, an ignorant argument, an argument for a people who want to remain in colonization, or a colonizer who want to finish the job of eliminating those people. you know, in every village, everybody has their role. The Fon has his role. The Takenberg has his role. The Kuah has his role. The Obasanjo, they have their role. Every village and every society is a construct of different pillars, subsets that makes up that society. And everybody have a role to play in a time of crisis. The front line of the struggle for the liberation of the Southern Cameroons is on the territory of the Southern Cameroons. The elimination of our people, the people of Ambazonia, is going on the territory of the Southern Cameroons. The most effective manner of tackling La République du Cameroun right now is to confront their occupation and their laws and their grip on our territory. That after depriving our people of internet, they were forced and shamed, and they could not break the spirit of our people until, with their tails between their legs like a gong dog, they reinstated internet in our land. What did that show? It's a building block of what you say you show their lack of authority in our land. Through coercion, intimidation, kidnapping, torture, killing, they have been unable to break the stranglehold that our teachers and students and parents have placed on going to school. And so the school year is a wash. No matter their rigmarole, what does that show? Effectiveness. Effectiveness in resisting our colonization. Effectiveness in resisting our elimination. Effectiveness in showing the world that these guys are posers. They don't control our land and will not control our land. That is the effectiveness that they have. They have lost control inside our land. That's what the ghost town does. Say 100,000 Southern Cameroonians in the US or Europe or whatever country decide that their students are not going to go to school and keep them at home. What will that do to La République du Cameroun? Would it show that they have no control over our land? Would they for 1 second sleep in despair that Southern Cameroonians in Australia are not going to school? For 1 second, would that bother them? They might even take Australia to UNESCO and say, Australia, there are kids sitting at home in school. You are falling below your treaty under the United Nations, under UNESCO. Because you are not safeguarding the rights of kids to go to school in your land. Right? Suddenly La République becomes a good guy. So staying from work here in the diaspora or not sending kids to school takes nothing, absolutely nothing out of La République du Cameroun. It helps them. It helps them. Because part of the thing that has been keeping the backbone of our people, that have been keeping families going, as La République du Cameroon dismantle the safety net of our economy, dismantle the healthcare of our land, dismantle is those Southern Cameroonians that they force out through scholarships and that they force out through their brutality. Turning around and making sure that the families are together, are safe, and food on the table. So they will be happy. Their job would be done. If all of the Southern Cameroonians, both in the diaspora and at home, are paupers, beggars, then their job is done. So beware of those who make this type of trite argument. Beware of them. They are serving the master, La République du Cameroon. But those in the diaspora cannot escape their responsibility. Folks. Because a lot of them are hiding. A lot of them are using the camouflage of disappearing into societies who have fought and shed blood to be what they are today, for them to enjoy those fruits. They have just disappeared into the masses and they feel that they have become faceless in these societies. And so they have no responsibility to what is going on in the territory, back at home, back in Ambazonia. To those in the diaspora, the question is, what have you done? What have you done to merit the sacrifices of the Ambazonians at home, who have mortgaged the future of their kids' destiny, who are mortgaging their life as they stand in the front line of this struggle for us, so that you can go back during Christmas and New Year and you still have a village standing, you still have a compound standing, you still have people that you can go to the bar with. What are you doing? Can you say that the sacrifice that you have made since our people decided to bear the brunt that La République has placed on their shoulder, can you measure your sacrifices to what has been going on at home? And if you can't, then you are a disgrace to your people. You are a shame on your family. If you feel that this doesn't touch you and you cannot show your face, because in a month's time or 2 months' time you want to drop in like a bush faller and walk around so that the policeman should not look at you twice, that have I seen this face over the camera or what? If you feel that you are going to hide in order to enter a circuit in La République du Cameroon, or to land at an airport in La République du Cameroon and drive safely into Ambazonia, then I repeat, you are a disgrace, not just to yourself and your family, but to the sacrifices that our people are putting now on the ground. You do not need to stop going to work. You do not need to withdraw your children from school, but your role is well defined. is the role that other expatriates from Somali to South Africa, from Kenya to Namibia, from Nigeria to Gambia, is the role that other expatriates have played to free their land from foreign domination. The role that you know, the role of funding to the hilt the resistance on the ground. So the streets of southern Cameroon cries for AKs, AK-47s. The streets of southern Cameroon cries for defense mechanisms. And we go about our daily life here, and sometimes we might remove a $10 from our pocket. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. Our people should not be dying. Our people should not be singing. The time for our people to be singing, they go kill we tire, don't pass. That time don't pass. They don't sing them enough. 56 years is enough. The diasporans need to step on the plate. They need to step on the plate, so that the streets of the southern Cameroons will no longer ring with "they go kill we tire." The streets of southern Cameroons will ring with "you are going to get out of this land. You are going to get yours." This is no longer a free land that you just come in and you collect cadavers. Your cadaver will also fertilize the tree of liberty that we are planting in Boya, in Bamenda, in the Yumojok, in Manfe, in Uku. That is the role of the diasporans. So folks, a day of reckoning is coming. A day of reckoning is coming. A day when you will be asked personally, what did you do? Both at home in the southern Cameroons and abroad, every Amazonian child, man, woman, it doesn't matter. You would be asked, what did you do? Because let me say something. Some people still think that this is a joke, that Ambazonia is not coming about. Ambazonia is already a living entity. You know what? At The Hague last weekend, the Ambazonian national team went into action as the Ambazonian governing council sent in a team of Ambazonian who stood and sang the national anthem and brought Ambazonia alive in a soccer field with the Ambazonian jersey. Ambazonia will exist. So if for those black legs who feel that they can sneak under the umbrella of the illegal forces, the occupation forces in our land, and take an exam, the GCE, it is a worthless exam. And let me tell you, there is no better registry than doing that. Because for posterity, fathers and mothers and even kids, because writing the advanced level and the O level, you are of age to think for yourself. There is no better registry of putting your name down as a traitor of our people. So go and write. Get into the classrooms. As other Ambazonian kids put their future on hold. Get in there. Try to get a head start. But folks, put your name on the registry for posterity. Or posterity as a traitor of your people. And it might take us 1 year to free our land. It might take us 10 years. It might take us 25 years. Maybe then you might have become a doctor and you are practicing. But when the Ambazonian nation come into existence, when your certificate, that GCE, that you have built all your future education on, is put on the table, that is like a house of cards. It will come tumbling down. And the only thing that you would have done, is to make sure that we have somewhere that we can go and look and say, oh yeah, Tamusang Fundi, GCE class of 2017. Never to hold any public office or public life in Ambazonia. And for the diaspora, we live in societies where there are records. And for some of you, it might never come about. But your kids and your grandkids would stand on the stage in the southern Cameroons and say that on this day in the history when a new nation was being born, land of my birth, my father's land, this is what my mother, a school bus driver in America, or my mother, an RPN at a group home, or an accountant, maybe a doctor. This is what they did for my land. Because folks, let me take the poem of Rene Castillo. One day, there are political intellectuals, and my own addition, non-intellectuals. One day, there are political intellectuals of my country who will be interrogated by the simple man of our people. They will be asked about what they did when their nation was slowly extinguished, like a sweet and gentle fire, small and alone. And political intellectuals of my sweet land, you will not be able to answer. A vulture of silence will devour your entrails. Your own misery will gnaw at your soul, and you will be silent, ashamed of yourselves.